I ask this question every transfer window, or at least for the last few. What's the update on Jadon Sancho?
Yeah, slight update in the last 24 hours, and that's because Borussia Dortmund, a team that he knows very well, having joined Manchester United for 73 million from Borussia Dortmund back in 2021, are interested in taking him on loan again. Now, he did go on loan to Dortmund at the back half of the 23-24 season, got to the Champions League final, someone who they absolutely love out in Germany. He's played some of his best football for Borussia Dortmund. We know that Chelsea didn't activate that option to buy him from Manchester United. But of course, there is still interest. We know that there's interest from Serie A as well. Juventus are very keen. One of the Milan clubs like him. But of course, they may just struggle with doing his wages. He's a very well-paid player at Manchester United. He's got 1 year left. Manchester United may have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting with regards to his wages to facilitate a potential loan deal. Their preference is to try and let him go permanently. But of course, it's just about the best offer on the table that they feel, right, that's the one we want to accept. Is Jadon Sancho happy to go to Borussia Dortmund or to go to Italy? That will be his choice. But there are teams that are interested. But it's all about one thing and one thing only, which is how we started this show. The money.
The moolah.
The money. The big bucks.
United had held internal conversations to whittle down a shortlist that had 3 leading names on it, maybe the last time we spoke, in Ollie Watkins, Benjamin Sesko and Nicholas Jackson. About 7 days ago, they decided that Jackson doesn't look feasible. And I think the only thing that would change that is if Chelsea come calling for Alejandro Garnacho, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, but also that Jackson price drops and significantly. So nothing active there. And that leaves 2, Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins. Last week, again, talks were held with the Watkins side and with Aston Villa, even though some Villa sources tried to downplay it. And Manchester United asked the question and were told 60 million and a Villa preference to keep. So now, if Villa got a replacement or that price was to drop, Manchester United might go in that direction. Otherwise, Benjamin Sesko is still on the radar. Remember, 12 months ago, Manchester United made a pitch. Sesko decided to stay at Leipzig. Arsenal and Chelsea were there at that point. Now the Sesko deal is going to come down to whether the price drops, because Leipzig still want in excess of 80 million euros. Manchester United's valuation is much closer to 70 million euros. And as you say, there's also this possibility that Newcastle get that deal over the line too. And if Manchester United want Sesko, they're going to have to be quicker than for Ollie Watkins, because Newcastle are advanced on the player side. They're in club-to-club talks. They're ready to bid. Manchester United is still having an internal debate and conversation. And as a consequence, that outreach for both Watkins and Sesko is still formative. But I get the impression this is a big week in the pursuit of a number 9, because if it's Sesko, Manchester United are going to have to get moving. If we hear a bit of a lull, it probably means they're looking for proven Premier League experience and they genuinely believe that Watkins might become available. But right now, there's more clarity to the picture. Sesko and Watkins are the 2 names that Manchester United are actively working on.
Well, we'll get into the between us amongst the studio. We'll get into the actual options that we've got in terms of Watkins and Sesko and who we might prefer. Flex, I'm just going to chuck over to you here, though. We talk about those internal discussions about bringing this, elusive number 9 in. Is there a realm? I'm going to pivot here. Is there a realm where Højlund, from what we've seen so far, can he muscle his way into this squad and can he still be an option, or do you consider a striker to come through the door pivotal?
No, I think a striker is definitely pivotal. I think, from what we've seen from the media and a few on the ground here, Manchester United are looking for a number 9. Fact. That is what is happening. So I think the feeling is that, Ruben has seen that position as somewhere that needs to be strengthened. And I think that's the right thing amongst other things. I think Rasmus Højlund was thrown into the deep end really early in his career. Of course, no real choice over or control over the price tag on which he came to us for. And after the first season, I think he actually looked all right. I think there was a large portion of us that was like, okay, this kid's quite raw, but there's something to work with. I don't think we envisioned a season quite like this in the last season, not just for the team, but specifically for him. Because you don't go from looking decent in the first season, 16 goals, you think there's more work to be done, to all of a sudden, it's one of the worst signs. Something's gone wrong in between, which of course we finished 15th and look at what happened to the whole team. So I do feel it for him a little bit there, but I still understand that Manchester United should have somebody more experienced or of a higher level in that situation, either to help him to learn off or of course to play instead. So I think we definitely need a striker for sure. I think we scored 44 goals last season, which is just a ridiculously poor return for us. So for me, yes, absolutely right. We need to be looking for a striker. Benjamin Sesko and Watkins, I like the links. We'll talk more about those individually, but just on Rasmus Højlund, I think he's struggled so much. His confidence is shot. He's got nobody to learn off. He's got no support. And I think it's the right move to look for number 9 for sure.
Yeah, no, fair. For the record, I agree with you. Just picking up on something you said there, Flex, and actually I think the viewers will want to hear about this as well, Ben, is Watkins. We're hearing the name float around a bit. How credible is this? How advanced are these talks? Is this actually a possibility? Is it on the table that Man United have an opportunity to sign Ollie Watkins or at least in for him? Concrete?
It's concrete for sure. They held initial talks last week. It all kind of depends on Aston Villa. First of all, they'd have to find a replacement. Second of all, the valuation would need to be met. My understanding is that Watkins is very open to Manchester United, but Villa will have a big say in all of this. And we have to respect the position as of now, which is that Ollie Watkins isn't for sale. But you may remember Alexander Isak has not been for sale for basically the last 6 months. And at the end of the window, is he going to stay or go? We don't know. The door is certainly open for Liverpool. It's the same kind of situation where if the stars align and Villa either have their valuation met or alternatively bring in a replacement, not for sale might not mean not for sale. And I think Manchester United are still relatively optimistic that at the right number and with the right set of circumstances, Watkins may become a concrete possibility. They just have to be a little bit patient, potentially. Some sources, even close to Villa, hint that an offer in excess of 50 million rather than 60 might stand a realistic chance as well, especially if the player drives a move away in any capacity. So Watkins and Manchester United remains one to watch. And it's fascinating debate because if they're looking for long-term value, if they're leaning on the experience and view of Christopher Vivell, who knows Sesko very well, they're going to go down the route of a big outlay for a longer-term investment. But if we look at Bryan Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha and now Watkins, they're 3 proven Premier League players that can make an instant impact. And it may be that they pivot because I sense Ruben Amorim is saying, let's just get players for the now. Let's find players that can instantly have an impact. Let's get in starters who have proven statistical, consistent records, meaning if those 3 combine, and remember, Watkins already has a pre-existing relationship with Mbeumo as well. You can get that instant return to catapult Manchester United from close to the relegation zone to hopefully back into a Champions League spot. So I think this is the debate ongoing at the moment. It's very healthy. You need the freedom to challenge. I think Christopher Vivell is forward planning and saying Sesko is our future. And I think Ruben Amorim is saying fine at the right price, but there's an urgency and Watkins is the more instant fix.
Yeah, that is quite the dilemma, to be fair. I know I'm going to bring you in here. Let's say we explore this realm where Ollie Watkins becomes a Manchester United player. It's a new manager, it's a new system. Manchester United, let's be frank, struggled last season. Do you think Ollie Watkins will have that instant impact that we're talking about potentially he might?
Yeah, for sure. I think Ben raises a very good point there in terms of already having a bit of experience with Bryan Mbeumo. He'll obviously look for certain individuals amongst that squad to really help him blossom within the team as well. Guaranteed goals. There's not going to be this cooling period, if you like, in terms of allowing Ollie Watkins to get used to the Premier League or English football or anything like that. He's, of course, got all of that in abundance. But I just get a little bit confused with this. I wouldn't necessarily be against the signing of Ollie Watkins. I think he's hardworking, he's an honest player, and I think he will score them goals. But
Uma praia paradisíaca. Novo conceito de clube privativo em São Paulo. No Beyond the Club você trabalha com vista para o mar, joga tênis, curte jazz, teatro, hotel.
when Ineos took over, we were told, and we've seen through evidence with some of their signings, that they don't necessarily want to go down the route of the Casemiros in terms of signing someone who's already at that stage of his career. He's going to come in for a couple of seasons and then he'll move on. They always said that they wanted to sign players who are younger and to build for the future. So by that logic, Benjamin Sesko would fit that mould. So it does confuse me a little bit in terms of Ollie Watkins, of course, quite close to 30. It would be a signing very much here and now. But then it does almost contradict a little bit the future plans for Ineos. So I think I'm a little bit confused on that regard. But look, Man United need goals and Ollie Watkins scores them.
Yeah. But I hear that reservation there, though, because it does feel like with this transfer, they're abandoning that strategy that they initially came in with. So I take the point. You think about the transfer window, you think about arrivals.
Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins and RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko are at the top of Manchester United's list of strikers if they decide to bring in further reinforcements during the current transfer window. There is an acceptance among United's hierarchy that they need to start offloading some of their unwanted players, which might not happen until nearer the 1st of September deadline in order to fund a new arrival. Neither player would be straightforward to bring to Old Trafford. Newcastle, who have missed out on a number of key targets this summer and also have uncertainty over their own star forward Alexander Isak, are known to be keen on Slovenian Sesko. The 22-year-old scored 13 goals in 33 Bundesliga appearances last season. Villa have made it known they are not interested in selling England international Watkins. However, United feel that stance might change nearer to the deadline, although they believe a suggested £60 million price tag would be far too high for 29-year-old Watkins, whose contract at Villa Park runs to 2028. United were in action over the weekend, with Ruben Amorim's team kicking off their Premier League Summer Series campaign with a 2-1 victory over West Ham United. Reds captain Bruno Fernandes netted twice before Jared Bowen pulled one back in the United States, keeping the Reds' pre-season unbeaten run intact. The focus now shifts back to the transfer window, and two names that made headlines over the weekend are Benjamin Sesko and Gianluigi Donnarumma. Sesko is the latest forward being linked with a move to Old Trafford, while Donnarumma's contract situation at PSG has put United on high alert. There could also be some notable departures, with Antony reportedly close to finalising a move to Saudi Arabia. Al Nassr are believed to be leading the race to sign the Brazilian.